button, and great. And hi, everybody. This is Claude Diamond. I'm speaking with Vicki Terry in, it's not Denver. Is it where is it again?
Longmont, Colorado.
Longmont. I should have known that. And Vicki is one of my students or mentees. She's been studying real estate, and she has a success story today I wanted to talk about. Vicki, tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about this deal you've been working on for a while.
All right. Well, I've been doing my real estate investing training, if you will, for about 2 years now. I started out going to some seminars, and the more I learned, the more I realized that this was something that I really wanted to do. And earlier this year, I found my first fix and flip, and that's located in Loveland, Colorado. And I found it from an agent that I was working with who had been watching the HUD market. And so he forwarded the information to me, and I took a look at it. And because it was a smaller house and also basically a cosmetic rehab situation, I decided to go ahead and give it a shot for my first deal. So from there, hard money financing and got the deal under contract, and we closed on it at the end of February. Our rehab was only 2.5 weeks, so it went really fast. We got it back on the market in early March, and I'm happy to say that next Friday, the 27th of July, we will have it sold to the end buyer, to a retail buyer. So it's been a little bit of a longer process than I had hoped, but it happened when it was supposed to happen, I guess.
And is this really your first deal?
This is actually my first deal.
Okay, good. So what do you think about what you learned during the process? Did you make some mistakes along the way, some things you wouldn't do on your next deal? Anything you want to share that you think you did maybe wrong?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, the first thing I learned is that I actually know more than I give myself credit for. And I needed to, I guess, go through this experience to make me realize that, I could do more on my own, or, with more confidence than I felt that I had. And the reason I say that is because like I had the real estate agent, for example, recommend or suggested that I didn't need to do an inspection because it was a HUD property. And that's again, because the first thing we found out, and worse, but the first thing we found out after we closed was that the furnace needed to be replaced. And it wasn't that big a deal, but it wasn't calculated in the original budget for the rehab. So I would always do an inspection regardless of what the agent recommended and so forth. The other thing that I learned would be I think I would go with more of a general contractor and get contract with a general contractor, get his bid on what it would take to do all the rehab versus having a partner that sort of acts as a general contractor.
So you feel one of the mistakes you made is you didn't do an actual inspection because the person recommended that a HUD is a pre-inspected property, and I think we all know that we should double check everything, I guess, is what the advice you're giving right now.
Yes. Right.
Okay. How would you go? I want to take a step backwards. And you did something a little bit different. Most of us try to find deals on our own and through the online marketing and newspaper. You found a deal through a realtor. Could you tell us how that happened?
Well, it was earlier in my investment experience, and a friend of mine who is a real estate appraiser actually introduced me to the agent as someone who could help me make offers on HUD properties, because you have to your agent has to be you have a particular number, I guess, to be able to make a HUD offer. And so that's how I just came across the agent, was through a friend. And other than not doing the inspection, everything else was was a good experience. I mean, he was very methodical in what we needed to do, when, and help me through that process, to get to closing and so forth. So, that part of it was a good experience.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of interesting that you did that. You used a realtor, you used a contractor
Mm-hmm.
for to inspect the property and let you know about other damage. You used an appraiser also. You're doing you're a private investor, but you're going through some very traditional people
Mm-hmm.
through this process.
Mm-hmm.
Does that raise your expenses up a lot?
Um, well, not having done it the other way, I don't think I could really address that right now, because I don't have anything to really compare it to. But of course, I had the commissions, so that I know was an expense. And let's see what else. And the appraiser was just actually, we had to have two appraisals done,
Two. Wow. How come?
because because the first private or hard money lender that I had contacted, after it was all said and done, I didn't really like the rates that they had. And so I found another hard money lender, and unfortunately, they all want their own appraiser to,
Hmm.
go out and do the inspection.
Okay.
So,
And you had to
but
pay these people. Do you pay them up front, or are they paid out of escrow? And
the appraisals are paid up front,
okay. And what do they run you? How much out of
between
pocket?
350 to $400
Okay.
is the average rate around here in this area right now.
How about
So
the contractor? Was that a for them to come out and give you an idea of your costs and repairs? They usually do that for free, don't they?
yes, uh-huh.
Okay. And you had a realtor involved, so there was actually a real estate commission, I believe, right?
Yes,
On this deal. And then you did something else interesting. I think you had like a joint venture partner too, didn't you?
right. It was a joint venture partner who acted as the general contractor.
Aha.
And
Okay.
that's
So
what I
you
was
kind of
saying. The next time around, I would have one or the other, you
now
know.
that's interesting. You had a partner, and I think for a lot of us, we'd say, well, gee, if we have a partner who can also do the repairs, that might be a real cost saving.
Hmm.
That's the way I think you looked at it, right? So
Hmm.
someone who can save me a lot of money, do it for cost and get the parts and things for a discount and so forth.
Right. And
Um,
so
but you're
they,
saying not to do that next time.
I don't think I would do it the next time. I think I would have a general contractor, because that way, the general contractor, gives me the estimate on the repairs and is responsible for, getting the, contractors in there to actually do the repairs and everything. And I would have, um, my contract with him for how much he's going to be paid for that work. And
Right.
that's in the story period. And then after that, the whatever profit I gain from it, is my profit. Uh,
Okay. Can we talk?
whereas,
And that's really interesting. So you feel you shouldn't mix apples and oranges. In other words, either the person is a partner, a money partner, or they and keep the contractor separate from that actual partner.
yes, yes,
Don't mix your partners with the actual hands-on work because maybe maybe it upsets the apple cart a little.
a little bit, yes, uh-huh.
That's very interesting. How can we talk about the profitability of this deal? Maybe round numbers, what you put in and what you think what percentage you're going to pull out in terms of profit. You mind sharing a little bit of that in just a broad sense?
Um, as far as rehab, I put in about 25,000,
Okay.
and that included rehab cost and some of the closing costs as well.
Okay.
And then,
What did the property run you? Round numbers.
I'm sorry, you broke up.
What did the property cost you?
I'm sorry.
The
Oh, the
cost of the property.
property cost me 123,500.
5. And then you had to put in another 25
Mm-hmm.
on that. So almost $150,000
Right.
on the thing. That's a and
And the sale price that we're closing with next Friday was 175.
okay. So you recouped your investment, and you're
Mm-hmm.
going to make around numbers around $25,000.
Right.
That is a round of applause. I
Well,
mean
thank you.
that's real money. That's a lot of money for just one little deal.
Right.
And I often tell people these little deals, whether you do a rehab, a fix and flip, my favorite, the lease purchase. If you check, if you can make very good money on these if you do your homework, your due diligence. Mind telling us about that? Because I know you and I had a lot of conversations. Because the profit is, you really decide on your profit before you buy the property, don't you?
Right. Right.
So how
And I
did you go about doing that? So I mean, in this kind of dangerous marketplace, how did you know how you were going to come out? How did you do your due diligence? How did you check your numbers?
Well, during the initial first couple of days, of course, I got comps from the real estate agent for homes in that area, and we looked at not only sold, but what else was on the market in that area, and how many other foreclosures were in the area. And based on those numbers, because there weren't any other foreclosures, it was a neighborhood. That was a good sign for me. And then during the inspection period, where we had time to bring contractors in to actually give me an estimate on what it would take to do the repairs. I calculated that in, and actually the repairs only ended up being about maybe $15,000-$16,000
And they're always higher, aren't they?
than what I initially. But that included the new furnace, which
Wow.
we got a good deal on, and but we did new carpet, paint inside and out, new appliances. The master bathroom was totally redone.
And you
The
got this all done for around 25,000. Bravo.
Right,
Is this
right.
boy? Because repairs are expensive.
Hmm.
You said something very interesting. Checking the comps. That I assume that's something you did with your realtor. Then you let your realtor kind of help you with the comps or competitive prices in the
Yes,
marketplace.
yes, uh-huh.
And you took into account. This is very interesting. The foreclosures, if there were any foreclosures in the marketplace. And then I'm just going to ask the obvious question: Why do you think it's important to not only check what is sold or pending in escrow, but also to check the foreclosures? Why is that? Why was that important to you?
Well, to me, that told me that you know a little bit more about the neighborhood, and being
Stability.
able to like keep the value of your property up. There weren't other that many homes in foreclosure to give you the possibility of the value of your neighborhood going down over the next 6 months to a year.
Do you think?
So,
Do
and
you,
we also had a house two doors down that had just sold in November for. It was a foreclosure, and it was the only other one in the neighborhood. But it sold in November before I purchased in February for 179,900, and that was in winter months. So they got a good price for that house, even in a winter month selling season. So I felt that was also another good factor to consider.
a question? what was your thinking, and why not keep the property and rent it out? Could you have made money on a long-term basis, some pretty good money on the rent on this property on a long-term basis?
Um, I did do a rent calculation, and the property would rent probably for around 1,350 a month.
Wow, that's a very high. That's a lot of money for 100 and for that price property. That's a pretty
Right,
good rent.
right.
What is that? I'm going to get my little calculator here.
hmm
You said 1250.
Well, 13 to 1350 is what one real estate agent told me.
Let's say 1,300 times 12 months. That would be $15,600 a year gross rent.
hmm
On a mortgage, I don't know what the mortgage is or with the rates and everything, but it sounds like that would be at least a $500-600 a month minimum profit, net profit a month,
hmm
based on the purchase price and conventional financing right now. What was your thinking, if it's not too personal question, why you chose to sell it rather than just rent it?
Well, at the time that I went into it as a fix and I really wasn't thinking, buy and hold at that time. And because I brought in a joint venture partner,
Hmm. Okay.
our agreement was, to fix and flip it right, as soon as we could. And again, if I had gone into this with, say, a general contractor versus a joint venture partner, I could have maybe made that decision to go with it being a buy and hold,
Hmm.
somewhere down the road.
So so it sounds to me like you had a big support system. You had a joint venture partner slash contractor. You had your realtor. You had some other people helping. Yeah,
hmm
I think you and I in our mentoring relationship did a lot of brainstorming on this also.
Right.
And it sounded to me like you set up a real safety zone for yourself on this property.
Right.
So you got the results, and what a learning experience, and what a profit for you on your
Right.
first
And that's
deal.
interesting. In the beginning, I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I wanted to hear what you said. I said, what is you set up a safety zone with all these different people, including myself, on this first deal,
Right.
and we hear a lot of not so happy stories sometimes from people who get involved. But you, good in to your credit, you crossed the T's and dotted the I's on a lot on your first deal.
Right. And also the thing I looked at too, what was interesting in the beginning, I had probably as many people tell me to go for this deal as there were telling me they wouldn't do it. And I had to look at where that information and advice was coming from. And then I thought, well, because it was, a low rehab, minimal cosmetic type rehab, first step sometime. And I felt like this was a good first step. And even if I came out of it, $10,000 ahead, then that was more than I had, last month. So I had to look at it in that light too.
Yeah, and what an optimist you are. How about marketability of this property? I often talk about um, what is the attraction of the property or its location or the
hmm
culture of the neighborhood, or is it near a university or in high employment of the area? But did any of this factor into the house, the marketability?
Oh, right, right. I took a good look at the area. It's in um, a good neighborhood. It's got lots of parks. It's close to shopping. It's close to let's see, churches. There are lots of. It has easy access to main thoroughfares. From that area, and it um, which is maybe 20 minutes north. So, and that's not really that far, for overflow for not only students, but professors or whatever. And we also have some good industry coming in over the next couple of 3 years, or projected, let me say projected industry.
Wow.
So
And
that that all factored into
Yeah,
everything.
and isn't that smart because you know what people look for, the good schools, the parks, the transportation, things like that.
Mhm.
Give people what they want, supply and demand, fair, a reasonable price for the neighborhood. So bravo. What are you going to do on your next deal here? Let's go. Are you working on your next deal, or what
Right
would you
now,
do?
I am.
Go ahead.
I'm looking for. I am looking and sifting through leads that are coming in, and I'm also getting better at getting different lists emailed to me. So I'm starting to work those and come up with like some type of mailing campaign. I haven't quite decided if it's going to be postcards or letters or in some cases where I have email addresses or whatever. But I've reached out to two or three more real estate agents who have their little niche, and I'm trying to learn more about my local area here in Longmont. So I'm trying to do a little bit more closer, to where I'm actually located, and everything. So
Do you see this as a business eventually that's going to be full time, or you're just going to keep it part time and do a few deals, a few extra deals, make some nice extra money every year? What do you see in the future?
no, this is going to become full time for me. It's basically going to be my retirement.
Very good.
Funding for my retirement, and so as soon as I get it going to a point where I have consistent money coming in and set aside for retirement, then I can look at backing away from the corporate world. So
And
that's
you could do this from home, can't you?
absolutely, yes.
And I don't know if do you have a dedicated office in your home, something you want, or is it just the kitchen table?
No, I actually have the living room of my house is set up for my office, and occasionally I'll use my laptop and maybe go out on the deck or into the family room or something like that. But I have my computer and printer and phone and everything set up right here in the main living area, main living room.
How much did sales come into this whole thing for you? Um, I always finding the property, I have to sell myself and my lease purchase concepts. Then I've got to assign or sublet or sell the contract to the property to somebody else. How much did you have to become a salesperson?
Yeah, and that's really going out of one's comfort zone,
Sure.
because it's if you haven't done it for a long time, even though we do it every day, we just don't realize it. It was a little bit uncomfortable, realizing that now I have to reach out there and not be quite so shy or put limits on myself. So it does make you grow.
That's it. That's a very profound statement. It's really interesting. So the
Mhm.
squeaky wheel does get the grease.
Right.
Absolutely. Any other advice before we go? I wanted to. What's your webpage? So if someone wants to learn more about maybe doing business with you, or has a deal or a proposal for you.
Well, actually, it's not ready to launch just yet, so
Okay.
I don't have that information to give out. It's almost ready, but I don't have it quite to the point where I can give that information out.
Okay. So
So
you don't have the name yet.
no.
Okay.
I'm working on getting domain names, and that's a whole nother that's totally foreign to me.
So
So
if they just Google Vicki and Longmont, I'm sure they'll find you, right?
yeah, you're right.
Absolutely.
I can give you my name, my email.
Why don't you do that? That's great.
Okay, let's do that. It's RMR Investors, and that stands for Rocky Mountain Rehab Investors at Comcast.net.
RMR Investors with an S. at
Yes.
Comcast.net. That's great. I'll give you the last word. Any bit of advice to anybody who's thinking about getting into this business based on your experience, or anything you'd like to share?
Well, I would say the number one thing that I found out and discovered about myself that I would say is just believe in yourself.
Confidence.
You don't have to know everything, but make sure you have people that you can, resources that you can reach out to help you get answers to questions that you don't know the answers to. But have more, just have faith in your abilities and your knowledge, to that point in time, and you'll be good.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, because I really wanted people to learn about you, that anybody can get in this business with the right attitude, with the right research and information, the right support system, and you did it, and bravo to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. I know this was tough for you, but you really did it. What a success story.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
for
you.
you. Thank you, and thank you for sharing this with everybody.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye.